So, anyway, hello everybody. I'm Richard Gon of Work to Live podcast version. So, this time, so what I'm going to talk about is it's a kind of a confession. So, if you wonder what the hell I'm talking about, I'm sorry. I don't know whether it's fine to say what the hell in official episodes of podcast to start with. But actually, so if you wondered what kind of topic I'm going to talk about, so and because I use the word confession. I don't know, maybe the confession is a correct pronunciation for confessing something to, for example, to somebody else, or for example, to your parents or to your friend or to your, so sometimes if you have committed some crimes, so if you tell stuff about those past crimes to for example police officers or the police of the region you live in, so that such a act can be called a confess, or to confess, or confession, using if you use noun. Anyway, so so what I'm going to talk about, what I'm going to talk about is maybe a past, not past. Yeah, maybe I think that I have found what I have found that occurrence a crime I have committed in the past. Anyway, so so I'm sorry, I'm sorry, but I have digressed. So this time, let me tell you the title and the conclusion of this episode. The title is hiding, concealing, burying truth make people happier than revealing or exhuming it sometimes. And the conclusion of this episode of my podcast is I, I have created a porn novel using an American girl as a model, but I need to hide this truth or crime for the happiness of people around me. So and so as I have just told you in the conclusion. So to start with, if you do not know things about me, so if you are listening to this episode of my podcast for the first time, or if you are listening to my podcast for the first time, so let me introduce myself to you. So so I'm a just to start with, I'm an office worker, but actually I'm an office worker of white collar, but actually, and I'm working for a fairly huge Japanese company, but actually, so my side hustle, or my side hustle or side way for earning money is an adult content creator, which means I'm an adult content creator, and recently, so I'm focusing on creating episodes of podcast. So this is an episode of my podcast. What you're listening now is an episode of my podcast, which is what I'm telling. And so coming back to the track, or the original track of this episode, the truth is I have created a porn novel in which I used an American girl or American woman for as a model. So my style of my porn novels is that so in as the settings of those porn novels, so women are the dominatrixes or dominatrices, which means those women torture masochistic men or masochistic boys. Such as stories are what I wrote as in the form of porn novels, which is what I'm telling, or which is what I often do, because as I told you, I'm an adult content creator, and my in the past, my the main focus of my works was had been pictures with captions, which means erotic collages, which can be some people understand. Anyway, so I'm so and I'm recording in an East Asian country, which is a developed country in East Asia, and you can listen. and this is a siren of an ambulance or a fire engine in my country. So anyway, so please enjoy those noises and sounds of my country. So and maybe such noises and sounds coming or coming occasionally or accidentally coming to coming to episodes of my podcast, and you can enjoy those noises and sounds. So anyway, so but my past crime. Anyway, so why I'm telling you that sometimes hiding, concealing, or burying truth make people happier, and that is because I'm to start with, I'm not American. Maybe you can understand from by listening to my pronunciation of English language, and you can, I think you can easily understand that I'm a non-native speaker of English language. And anyway, so but that's, to start with, anyway, I'm not an American person. So but actually, so I used American Girl as a model of a porn novel, as a model of a porn novel, which is what I have done in the past. So I think I have infringed some regulations or some laws or some provisions of many some provisions of laws in both countries. And where are those both countries are. If you get some such kind of question or such a question, so the answer is America and Japan, or the United States of America and Japan. So Japan is the country I live in. So it was fine to call my country this country, but actually, anyway, I live in Japan, as I have just told you. So maybe I have infringed, or I have broken some regulations or some laws of my country, and maybe the laws and the regulations related to adult content creation in stipulated in the United States of America. So maybe I have. So if I, which means what I'd like to tell you, or what I'd like you to know, is that if I confess what I have done, that thing I have done in the past to the local police of my country, for example, if I did such a thing to police officers, if I told what I have done to the, if I told, or if I, yeah, if I told the local police about what I have done in the past, like I used American Girl for American Girl who has a long tongue, and I used, yeah, and the usage of that American Girl with a long tongue is it's a creation of a porn novel. Which is, if I told the local police stuff like that, the local police has to investigate what I have done in the past. So which means, for example, in this situation, that American Girl became, or had been a victim of what I have done. So which is why, or she had been she had been a victim of the occurrence I have committed I have committed in the past. So which means, the local police of my country has to investigate that case, and maybe they have to communicate with the local police in, for example, in some state in the United States of America. Maybe, the local police of my country has to communicate with the local police, or in some district or in some region of I forgot the name of that state, not Texas, but that is a state in the southern part of the United States of America. I remembered Florida. I used American Girl who lives in a state of Florida, and who has a long tongue. And maybe, I have seen some videos I have seen some videos capturing her or interviewing her, and in those interviews, her, her mother her mother appeared, and she was speaking Spanish language. So thinking based on that fact, so she may have an, she may have another nationality different from that of the United States of America. There is such a possibility. So which means so I have just come up with this idea, but actually, so what kind of what is that idea is. So the answer to that question is, so this case may involve two or more countries, which is what I'd like you to know this time. So I have told you that at least the local police of my country has to communicate with, or comes to have to communicate with the local police in Florida. But actually, they may, those Japanese police officers may have to communicate with, or may have to work with together with some local policies in some Latin American countries, for example, such a thing is possible. So which is why, so in this situation, I should not confess that case, or that case to the local police of my country. So which means, if I decide not to confess that past crime, or that past action or act to the local police of my country. So that is, which means, that is happier for the people around me, or for the people around that victim, who is an American girl with a long tongue, and maybe she has a lineage of some Latin American country. Anyway, so which is why, like it, as what I have told you, what I have told you in this episode is an instance, or an example. So which means, there are some truths or truths you should hide, or you should conceal from other people, or there are some things, there are some truths or realities you should hide, or you should conceal. Which means, by hiding, or by concealing, or by burying those truths or those realities, so, by hiding them, you can contribute the happiness of the people around you, which is what, and and there are such truths or realities, or there exist such truths or reality, which is what I'd like you to know this time. So before ending this episode, so I have I'm thinking of writing the links of the novel I created, and in which I used that American girl as a model into the description column of this episode. So if I'm not speaking a correct English, so please understand that by accessing the description column of this episode, you can find out the link of porn novel in which you can you can list the porn novel in which I was using that I used that American girl as a model. Anyway, so you can read, I have created such a porn novel, and you can read that porn novel from the description column of this episode, because you can access that link, leading you to to that porn novel online. Anyway, so that is online stuff, or online porn novel. And another stuff is, so another thing I'm thinking about is to paste or write the link of that video I watched in the past, and in that video, you can see the girl, you can see the American girl you are, not you, but I used for creating that porn novel. And she was sort of, I think she is sort of famous, because she has a longest tongue all over the world. for which she became famous, or she became a famous girl. Anyway, so before actually ending this episode, I'm going to tell you the title and the conclusion of this episode. The title is "Hiding, Concealing, or Burying Truth Make People Happier Than Revealing or Exhuming It Sometimes." And the conclusion is, I have created a porn novel using an American girl as a model, but I need to hide this truth or crime for the happiness of people around me. So please enjoy that porn novel anyway. So that's it. Thank you very much for your listening. See you, and so please check out the description column of this episode, so that you can find out the porn novel I was talking I have been talking about in this episode. See you. So in this episode, I have used the verb tell intransitively, which means, so in this episode, I have used to tell, like, for example, in the correct manner, tell somebody about something, which is a correct manner of the usage of the verb tell. But actually, in this episode, I used tell to somebody, or tell to someone, or tell something to someone, which is a manner I accidentally used in this episode of podcast. But actually, accidentally or intention, and in some parts of this podcast, intentionally that manner in which I used the tell, like I used the verb tell, like, tell something to somebody, or to someone. But actually, please understand that the usage is the usage is the intransitive usage is the same as the transitive usual transitive usage, like, tell somebody tell somebody or tell someone about something, or tell someone something.